Today, I'm going to discuss about the very important topic that is about the differences between dyes and pigment. You know that for coloration of textile materials, frequently we're using dyes and pigments. So there is a basic difference between these two. Basically, if we think about the chemical structure or nature of the chemicals, dyes are organic compound and that is generally dissolved in the water or as solvent. And in the other hand, pigment is inorganic or it can be organic compound that has not ability to dissolve in the substrate. So this is the basic differences according to the chemicals of dyes and pigment. And another things is solubility. If you think about the solubility, soluble in water or other solvent. Basically, I'm talking about the dyes. Uh, Dyes are basically the soluble in water, but the pigment is 100% insoluble in the substrate. And for this reason, as it is not soluble, so additionally, we have to use a medium that is a binder. Binder we are using as a medium during the dyeing or printing by the help of pigment. In case of penetration, we have differences between these two, that is penetrates the substrate, providing even coloration. Basically, the penetration means it is telling like this way that the fiber can absorb the dyes. I mean, dyes molecules can has ability to enter into the fibers molecules. But in case of pigments, may not penetrate as deeply as like a dyes. So remaining on the surface of the pigment will basically remain on the surface of textile materials, for example, fabric. The another differences is according to the application method. Applied in liquid form through immersion, padding, or printing. So by this way, we'll be able to apply the dyes during the coloration to the textile material. There is a three method has been given. One is immersion, another is padding, and the final was is printing. But in case of pigment, applied as dry powder or in a liquid suspension, uh, like this way. And in case of fixing, I mean fixation, chemically bond with the substrate. Basically, substrate is indicating the textile materials, for example, fiber, yarn, fabric, like this. Requiring fixation method for performance. Uh, in the dyeing process for fixation, additionally, when we are dyeing by the help of dyes, that is as a fixing chemical, we are using the soda ash. Soda is used for fixing agent, and for pigment, adhere to the surface performance depending on the binder or medium. So the surface performance will be depends on the binder or any other medium that is used for pigment. In case of transparency, generally after dyes, we get transparent appearance and light can be passed through the dyes. But in case of pigment, depending on composition, basically, it can be opaque or translucent. And in case of light fastness, think about the light fastness. For the dyes, they can be fed in the dye if we expose in light. So it has been written here, may have lower light fastness. Some dyes fade over time when exposed to sunlight. And but in case of pigment, you will get the very good light fastness property, and that has been you can say also the excellent light fastness property. So you will be able to use for outdoor application. Now I'm gonna raise some example here of dyes. The very much popular dyes for cotton fiber, especially reactive dyes, and for nylon fiber or nylon fabric, acid dyes are used, and direct dyes also. Dyes, direct dyes is used for cotton fiber, jute fiber like this. But one problem in direct dyes that wash fastness. Color fastness to wash is very poor, but others fastness is good. And in case of pigment, we have titanium dioxide, iron oxide, etc. So basically, dyes and pigments are very much popular in the textile industry, but there is some use differences between these two. And sometimes we use dyes, or sometimes we are using pigments. Basically, if you dye with the pigment, or if you make the color with the pigment, you will get more bright. I mean, bright of the textile material. I mean, the lustrous properties will get more if you dye with the pigments than the dyes. So one another things is that in case of cost, dyes are mostly costly than the pigments. So sometimes buyer wants the pigment dyes, or because of the cost and as well as the brightness or lustrous properties of pigment dyes. So thanks for today. Thank you all for joining.